NASCAR Playoff Committee, the future of championship formats. Venturing into NASCAR's Playoff Committee, a quest for evolution, yet 2026 might not be the turning point. In the aftermath of a contentious 2024 Cup Series playoffs, where Joey Logano clinched the Cup Series title with the least impressive average finish for a champion in NASCAR's modern era, the league convened a committee to brainstorm a format that would crown the most worthy champion, while simultaneously boosting television ratings in the face of NFL competition on fall Sundays. This was a bold move aimed at enhancing the sport's appeal and credibility. The committee, designed as a sounding board for various proposals rather than a decision-making body, is a diverse assembly of current and former drivers, team owners, track officials, manufacturer representatives, NASCAR representatives, and media members from both broadcast and print sectors. Each member brought their unique perspective and ideas to the table, much like the varied paint schemes adorning the cars on the racetrack each week. Having penned numerous critiques over the years regarding the need for reform in NASCAR's flawed system, this writer was invited by NASCAR to join the panel. We accepted the invitation with the understanding that the general discussion and process could be reported on, provided the identities of specific committee members and their exact comments remained confidential. This writer's contributions to the dialogue are documented throughout this piece. Following two meetings, one before the Daytona 500 in February and another before the Coca-Cola 600 in May, and two email surveys, it seemed almost certain that the playoff format would undergo a significant overhaul for the upcoming season. However, earlier this month, the discussions had a roadblock, making it increasingly unlikely that any drastic changes will materialize in time for 2026. Let's delve into how NASCAR arrived at this juncture, what has transpired with the committee, and where the process stands now. What's the controversy? Under NASCAR's existing 12-year-old playoff format, 16 drivers vie for survival through a trio of 3 race rounds, with 4 being eliminated after each round. Ultimately, the final 4 drivers remaining compete in a one-race championship showdown. Despite racing alongside non-playoff and eliminated drivers, the driver who finishes highest among the 4 title-eligible contenders is crowned the series champion. While this format has its proponents, many, including this writer, argue that it doesn't consistently reward the best driver of the season, as determined by various metrics or the eye test. Critics believe this has undermined the legitimacy of winning a championship, which until 2003 was determined by the driver with the most points from all races in the entire season. At the initial playoff committee meeting in Daytona Beach, an informal poll revealed a split between those advocating for change and those content with the status quo. However, during 90 minutes of discussions, a recurring theme emerged: the current format, designed to attract more viewers in a crowded sports landscape, is not achieving its intended effect. This isn't solely measured by viewership numbers, which can be misleading. The committee was informed that using the elimination playoff format versus previous formats has not made a significant impact on viewership. The average viewership for the final 10 races of seasons in this era was within a half percentage point of the same races in the previous chase era, also at 10-race playoff format, but without elimination rounds. NASCAR faces other challenges, such as a lack of star power, rapidly changing viewership habits in the digital age, and competition from other sports. If this format doesn't impact viewership and is also viewed as less legitimate, why not enhance its credibility? This logic seemed to sway some committee members who initially didn't see the need for change, a promising sign for those hoping the group would be open to new ideas. What was the dominant view in the room? The current and former drivers on the committee did not reach a consensus on a solution or opinion on how to fix the system. Some committee members, including at least one driver, seem perfectly content with maintaining the current format. However, the majority of drivers expressed concerns about the elimination format's legitimacy, stating it was challenging to convince fans to be enthusiastic about a one-race championship when they themselves didn't fully endorse the concept. NASCAR Hall of Famer Mark Martin publicly disclosed his committee membership in an attempt to advocate for a return to a season-long playoff format. To support his stance, Martin conducted a poll on X, asking fans to choose their preferred option among four: traditional season-long points, the current format, the 10-race chase, or another playoff format. In response, Martin's followers voted 60% in favor of full season points, 23% for the 10-race chase, less than 10% for another playoff format, and only 7.5% for the current format. The Athletic conducted a similar poll and received similar results, with each poll garnering over 20,000 votes. While Martin believes both polls represent a clear majority, it's less evident when combining the totals who voted for some form of playoffs, between 40 to 47% in the two polls, versus a full season championship, 53 to 60%. Moreover, X does not accurately represent all NASCAR fans. In reality, the existing fan base may be evenly divided. The introduction of a playoff system was aimed at attracting new, less dedicated fans, who are less likely to participate in such polls and might be more enticed by the drama of a playoff system. There's a certain nostalgia for the 36-race playoff format, as it's associated with NASCAR's golden era. And the current Cup Series vehicle, known as the next-gen car, has promoted parity, keeping the standings close. After the first 22 races of this season, the top four drivers are separated by only 20 points. However, there's apprehension among some committee members about the potential negative outcomes. If someone dominates the title race, or even a two-driver battle is not deemed exciting enough, the impact on TV ratings and racetrack ticket sales is feared to be significant. Some stakeholders even expressed worries that a multi-race championship round with four drivers might not have a thrilling enough finale, although The Athletic noted in the meeting that the champion from the 10-race chase format was never determined before the finale. What's the most probable solution? The committee meetings have trended toward a compromise, a modified playoff system with a longer championship round of some kind. Seeing this as the most practical path to moving away from the one-race championship format, this writer also supports this approach. A three-race championship round among the final four drivers, promoted by committee member Denny Hamlin on his podcast, has been one of the more discussed possibilities. However, others in the room felt that it doesn't go far enough in restoring lost credibility from the one-race championship. Additionally, this writer asked panel members to consider if fans would grow weary of hearing about the same four drivers for 3 consecutive weeks. This has led to suggestions of a 5-race championship round with more than 4 drivers, or a return to the 10-race chase. From this perspective, the preferred format would be either one of those. If not a full 10-race playoff, then perhaps a compromise could be having a 5-race opening round, 1 elimination to cut the field in half, and then a 5-race mini chase to determine the champion. Overall, committee members seemed to largely agree that the goal is to make the championship feel earned, meaningful, and worthy of celebration. At the same time, they recognize the need to maintain the excitement of the playoffs while rewarding the consistency of the best drivers. What else is on the table, even after the second committee meeting in May? There has yet to be any discussion of fully formed playoff systems. Instead, there have been loosely floating elements and concepts that people in the room seem to like, but it's unclear how they could be integrated. Some of the discussion has included a desire to further reward winning. Committee members would like to see more points given to a race winner, which could help the best drivers of the season bolster their hopes of reaching the championship round and enhance the legitimacy of the winner. Reducing the playoff field. If there were only 12 drivers in the field instead of 16, one regular season victory would not be enough to secure a playoff berth. This would decrease the chances of a scenario like last summer at Daytona, where 34th place Harrison Burton won his way into the playoffs with a superspeedway victory, carrying points through the playoff rounds. Currently, drivers who advance through the elimination format have their points reset at the start of each round. They only retain the playoff points they earned from the regular season. Some on the committee would like to see drivers who are having an excellent playoffs be rewarded by keeping the points they have earned so far when the next round begins. Simplifying the system. The committee's consensus is that the current playoff system is overly complex and a barrier to new fans trying to understand NASCAR. Any changes made to the format need to make the playoffs easier to comprehend. Finding a way to make every race matter again. Once a driver has already secured a playoff spot, teams and manufacturers revealed they shift their best equipment, cars, and engines to other drivers who have not won a race yet. This means an early season victory can actually result in a driver being penalized until